we are all beings deserving of love and respect and protection and safety and all of these things, just simply because we exist. Not because of how skinny we are, not because of how productive we are, not because how useful we can prove ourselves, just by simply being and existing. It's so interesting, like animals don't have to do anything. We just know that because our hearts are open, because they don't threaten us. And actually, funny enough, the animals we don't have an open heart to, and is because people are scared of them. So that fear shrinks their heart. All right, you guys, I have a topic here of unconditional love, and this is kind of a fresh download, and I'm still trying to digest it in a way that I can verbalize it. So I'm going to kind of process it here. So the concept is unconditional love. Human beings, the capacity for us to feel unconditional love. And the biggest thing that came to me to show that humanity does have the capacity for unconditional love, to have that open heart chakra, was with when I thought of my doggy. Oh, my sweet little boy. It's like I can walk past anyone and everyone's like, oh, your doggy's so cute, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't have to explain it. You know what I'm talking about. Like dogs, puppies, like it's very easy for us to have this open heart chakra for them. Cats, other domesticated, cute animals, especially baby animals, and then even like baby humans. We just have this unconditional love where our hearts just open and we just want to give it so much nurturing love, protection, care, reverence, respect, just because it's a beautiful, pure being. And this being, this animal that you love, this newborn baby, it doesn't have to earn anything. It doesn't have to be cuter. If a dog's overweight, are you gonna think it's like of less value? If a dog's traumatized, is it gonna have less value? No, in fact, it's kind of the opposite. When humans are traumatized, we judge. When a dog is traumatized, it's like, poor baby, oh my God, I need to donate to it. I need to rehabilitate it. Oh, that sweet doggy, he's growling because he's hurt, because he's wounded. But like, we don't think that about humans. When there's a human that's fear and tensed and closed up and lashing out, we're not thinking, oh, let me empathize with this beautiful, pure, sentient being and give it grace and reverence, protection and love. We think like, ew, like we close our hearts to that human, but not to the animals. It's really interesting. I'm gonna deeper dive into the animal thing really quick, but then I'm gonna get back onto the humanity, which is kind of the whole point of this video. I actually have my little puppy here. Sweet, perfect boy. You teach mommy so much about love and life and opening my heart. Of course, this isn't just an across the board thing with animals where we want to like love and protect and like look out for them completely. Obviously, if we feel like there's a need or a benefit we're going to get from an animal, we're okay with, let's say like consuming them for our own protein and things like that. And I'm an aspiring conscious eater. Sorry, vegan. Aspiring, I'm not, but I aspire to be. I do think it's in a journey. Now I'm going on a tangent about a tangent. I think it's a journey. I think you need to adapt. I think it needs to be something really mindful, conscious, sustainable. I don't want to fully get into details. Like that's a whole other video. Actually, I have a video I forgot called like why I'm not fully vegan right now. And I do think it can be a journey. But it is, of course, something I aspire to, is to like love and protect every type of animal, not just the puppies and the cats, but also the cows, the chickens. And I do think it's something we have to grow through and evolve and adapt, and it's a process. Anyway, so I'm by no means shaming these people. I understand this is how our society is set up, but I do think our society and these future generations are moving more and more away from it. We're being more and more conscious about animals. We're opening our hearts more and more to not just the puppies and the cats, but the cows and the chickens. And we're giving the same reverence and protection to all animals. And that's just beautiful. And I think like the path is already there for myself personally, and I think humanity at large. And like I said, it's just like a process that's gonna unfold. But I personally do see and believe that like we are heading that way, and I just think it's so beautiful. It just opens and melts my heart when I open a video of younger people sharing their light, their love, their wisdom, like trying to share a higher path. Actually, a girl who comes to my mind, her video came across, she was so adorable. I assume she's like 20-ish, so is that a Gen A or Gen Alpha or whatever? And she was just talking about glow up stuff and how she's plant-based, and I don't know, I just think this younger generation gives me so much hope for how many young creators like that I see using their platform and spreading messages. There's a guy my boyfriend actually, or my fiance actually follows, and I didn't even realize he was vegan, and I saw that he's in like a motorsport space, and he uses his platform. He's young, like early 20s. And I saw on his Instagram that, because I manage my boyfriend's business account, I don't have an Instagram, but I saw on there that he's using his platform to talk about veganism. So that's just some examples that warm my heart. And I just see that this Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever, like they give me hope for humanity, that our hearts are opening and we are on that path. And so that's beautiful. And I trust that that will continue to spread and unfold. So I'm not trying to shame anyone where we grew up and that was just our societal norms and customs. And I think it's actually harder for like millennials and boomers, those generations, to try and like open their mind, to be able to open their heart to that compassion and that concept of veganism, just because it's so baked into our societal upbringing and like norms. But that is not what this debate is about. I mean, this isn't even a debate. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to go on a debate about that. I do believe that the more we open our hearts and we have unconditional love for all beings, we will move towards a more vegan society. And I see it happening, and it's beautiful. So we are capable, I see, in humanity to have unconditional love. Again, we see it with puppies, we see it with newborns. We know that we can swell and open our hearts, and I do think these beautiful, innocent creatures of animals are just such a gift to do that. Here's where I believe it's difficult for humans to do this with other adult humans, and especially their own selves, is because, you know, animals don't talk. Animals aren't part of our competitiveness, I guess. Like an animal, you're not gonna see a cow or a puppy and think like they're gonna be competition for like winning my wife. They're gonna be competition for getting that job. They're gonna be competition for, you know, putting an offer in on this house, right? And also, I mean, that's just like blatant obvious stuff, but then there's also deeper wounds of like, this person might activate me. This person might push on a wound. This person might, there's deeper things that other humans are going to, adult humans are like going to threaten us, and they're going to activate things in us where a baby or an animal doesn't. It just allows us to remain in a safe space because they can't talk, because they're not threatening us, because they're not competition, because, you know, they're not angering us in the same way generally. Then, you know, our heart gets to remain open because we feel completely safe, and our nervous system is in that ventral vagal safe, open, connected space. Whereas adults, if you as your own self have a wounded nervous system and you know, your own demons and things that you haven't dealt with, other adults are going to mirror and activate that, and we're going to close off our heart, and then that's where we're going to get the judgment, the this and the that. And of course, whatever we're projecting onto people, we're also projecting onto our own selves. Everything's just a projection. So if we're judging people and thinking, you know, they need to be different and they need to perform and they're not good enough and they should be skinny, it's because you think that about yourself. I need to be skinnier. I need to perform better. I need to be doing more. I need to be useful. I need to have more value that I'm bringing. I need to earn my spot in this tribe. I need to prove it to people. And you project that onto everyone else. And so you shrink. Your nervous system is more in a fearful, activated place. And your heart chakra is then more tightened and closed up, because we're literally in this like, you know, everything's a threat, like hypervigilant place. But As we know about humanity with the puppy examples, we do have the capacity to just open our hearts and be loving, just like we can with newborns. And then, like I just described, like that changes over time. But I think so. So how do we close this gap? Where is this like missing? And I think it's the more safe that you feel in your body, the more you can trust yourself, the more you can love yourself, the more you can be secure, the more your nervous system is in that ventral vagal place, and the more you've healed things in yourself to where you're confident and you have love and you know you have value and you know you have worth just intrinsically, because you're a being. You're a being just like that newborn baby, just like that dog, that cat, that cow. We are all beings deserving of love and respect and protection and safety and all of these things, just simply because we exist. Not because of how skinny we are, not because of how productive we are, not because how useful we can prove ourselves, just by simply being and existing. Somehow we're capable of doing that with newborns and puppies and, non-threatening beings, but it's harder for us to do it when these wounds are being activated by other humans. So then naturally, of course, I think, well, the more we heal our wounds, the more secure we feel, and the more we know that we have intrinsic value just by simply being alive. I'm just as valuable. I deserve just as much love, protection, reverence, respect as me, as a 35-year-old woman with failures and successes and everything, just as much as the newborn baby deserves that same awe and reverence and respect just as much as your puppy does. When you start seeing yourself like that, then you begin to see other people like that. But that requires you to do a lot of self-work, to dig through, a lot of wounds, a lot of, trauma and societal programming and thoughts that told you had to be useful and you had to prove yourself and you had to be skinny and you had to make this much money and you blah, 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 when you can really work through that and you can drop into your body and just be and be safe. We're human beings, not human doings. So when you can just be and realize you're a being and drop into that beingness and that safety in this nervous system, then you walk around with your own safety, your own sovereignty, your own self-love and self-value, and then you reflect and project that, as I mentioned before, onto all other beings, human or not. Now, does this mean we just go around and blatantly let people, disrespect us, come in and abuse me or what have you, and we just forgive everything and we allow ourselves to be violated? No, we still have boundaries. We still have boundaries. And if you need an upkeep on boundaries, I actually just made a video talking about boundaries, the family, choosing peace. It was 2 or 3 long form videos ago. And because I'm, trying to have more boundaries in platonic relationships, friends and family. Look at animals. Animals have boundaries. Animals have reverence and respect and love for themselves just by intrinsically being. They don't think that they need to earn or do anything. If they want to rest, they rest. If they want to play, they love, all the things. But they still have boundaries. I have a 2-year-old puppy. He's the happiest, sweetest, most incredible, open-hearted, darling dog in the world. But guess what? If I go to pet him, he's going to move away from me. If a dog crosses him and he doesn't feel comfortable, he's going to growl at it. He has boundaries. He has unconditional love for himself and other beings, but he still respects his boundaries. He listens to his body, and when something is a no for him, when something is unsafe for him, he's gonna protect himself. And it's just so beautiful to watch nature. So we can unconditionally love ourselves. We can have intrinsic value just by existing, and we can also broaden that lens onto all beings, including humanity, including adult humanity. But we can still have respect and boundaries for our own self, because when you do love and value yourself, then you realize that you deserve to be loved and protected. Just like you want to protect a newborn, you want to protect babies, protect yourself as well. So you can love from a distance, you can love with boundaries. And in fact, that is loving yourself. Because when you don't love with distance, and you don't love with boundaries, and you don't love with discernment, like major thing here, have discernment with boundaries, then you're just loving everyone else, but you're not loving yourself. So you have to include yourself in the love of all of humanity. So if you don't have discernment and boundaries, then you're not loving yourself. And the whole point of this, like I mentioned, was to start with loving yourself, because when you do that, we project that world onto everything else. Everything is our own projection. So when we love ourselves and we have boundaries and we have discernment, we have unconditional love, we have intrinsic value and self-worth, then we can respect other people's boundaries, and we can perceive them as valuable just simply by being. So this is something that downloaded to me last night. I was just laying with my dog, and I was just thinking, you know, how interesting it was that dogs allow us to just open our heart chakra. Unconditional love, we're opening and extending that even more and more to all types of sentient beings now, not just the cute domesticated ones. And then I'm like, why can't we do that with humans? Why can't we do that with ourselves? And then I started to see myself just as another being in the lineup, as an animal, as an animal. Well, we are animals. So I just, I saw myself in the lineup, the dolphins and the puppies and the humans and the newborns and the Sarah and the adults and the elders, and like all of us, like just by being here, just by existing, just by breathing, like we all want love, we all want respect, safety, protection, but we all have intrinsic value. And it's so interesting. Like animals don't have to do anything. We just know that because our hearts are open, because they don't threaten us. And actually, funny enough, the animals we don't have an open heart to, and is because people are scared of them. Oh, I don't love sharks, I don't love alligators, I don't love snakes, whatever. Why? Because those are the ones that said human is scared of. So that fear shrinks their heart, and they don't have the same respect as they do for a cute little puppy. This is what I'm working on. I'm working on just seeing myself as a human with just intrinsic value and worth, that wants and needs unconditional love and safety and protection and connection. And that's what all of us animals, human or otherwise, are all seeking and deserving of. And yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. So I want to open my heart up to myself and even more, and to other humans even more. And part of opening my heart up to myself has been the journey of boundaries, because I realized I was not loving myself fully because I didn't have discernment for myself. When you love yourself, you put up boundaries and protection for that love, for that pure innocence and that intrinsic worth and value. Like when you have a newborn, you do everything in your power to be able to protect them and keep them safe, and use discernment and boundaries. And I want to do that for myself as well. Like it did not need to end just because I got older and more conscious and made mistakes through learning. And that's why we're here. Anyways, I could keep ranting and raving and, talking about different things, but I think I'm just kind of circling the same message here again and again. But thank you so much for watching. I love you so much, and I hope this gave you a little bit of a different shift on how you see yourself, and I hope you can do things to slowly become a little more safe in your nervous system, so that your heart can open up even a little more and just soften. Because in that safety, our heart chakra really opens, and we can truly experience that unconditional love, that Christ consciousness. Love you. Thanks.